It's been a little bit over a year that I quit my six-figure corporate job. And I remember the exact moment when I decided that working in corporate was not for me. It was towards the beginning of 2018, and I was sitting with my boss, and she was giving me my annual review, which included her letting me know how much I was getting for a raise. And in that meeting, she told me that I was going to get a 4% raise, which was the lowest dollar amount raise that I had received in the 3 years with that company. And that didn't make sense to me because the year before, I was the top sales rep in my district, which means I brought in literally millions of dollars to the company. I was in the top 10% of all sales reps in the whole country. And then this person is sitting there and telling me that me busting my ass the year before was worth the lowest raise that I had gotten in my time with that company. So I absolutely got upset in that meeting. And her rationale was that, well, you're already almost at the median amount of your salary grade, which you're basically just saying it doesn't really matter how much you work, doesn't really matter how much money you bring to the company. It doesn't really matter how much you add to this company. I'm not giving you a raise. And that didn't sit well with me at all. We had a follow up meeting scheduled for the Monday. So I actually went home and I did some research. I went back and looked at every single year how much I'd gotten for a raise. And what I realized was that every year I got a raise, even though it seemed like a lot, it actually wasn't because the minimum pay for that job also went up. So I was pretty much at the same place where I had been when I came in 3 years ago. And in that moment, I decided that I was not going to fight for this raise because even if I got another 1% or 2%, it will literally just end up being a few $100s for the whole year. And it didn't make sense because I had a house that I had bought years before, and that house was profiting me $1,000 every single month. In my head, I thought, okay, well, why are you gonna go fight with somebody over a few $100s where you can take your time and buy a house that's going to give you an extra $1,000 a month? The decision was clear to me. And so that weekend, I decided I was not going to beg her. I was not going to beg HR. I was not going to do any of that. I was going to just focus on getting my credit score together, buying a house, and give myself a damn raise. And that's exactly what I did. But my big issue was that my credit score was absolutely in the toilet and I had to do something to get it together quickly. I had started working on it, but I really wasn't that focused on it. But realizing that my work was completely being disregarded, that the money that I was bringing to this company was being disregarded, that my ability to make more money was being controlled by somebody that was prioritizing, I don't know, their biases or their friends over the actual data and facts. I mean, that just got me fired up to get my credit score together. I had been denied a mortgage in November because my credit score wasn't high enough. End of January, I had this conversation with this lady. April, my credit score was high enough to get a house. In July, I closed on that house. 2 years later, that house was paid off. And literally the same day that that deal closed is the same day I called my job to put in my notice. That conversation with my boss really opened up my eyes to the fact that the work that I was doing was being disregarded. There were other situations following that opened up my eyes even more. And even though at the time that I quit, I was in a much better position in terms of the people that I was working for, that experience is really what got me on the path to find my own way and make my own money. But me realizing that I had this other option to make money really wouldn't have been there if I hadn't taken the leap a few years before and bought my first house. That house that was giving me $1,000 a month is my first house that I bought in New York City while I was making $48,000 a year. And it was a house hack. So it is a 3-family property. There's 3 apartments in one house. 2 apartments have tenants that pay my mortgage, and I was on the other floor. If it wasn't for that house, I wouldn't have the flexibility. I wouldn't have the data to show that I didn't have to work for somebody, and I wouldn't have the ability to buy another house still. So if you are in a place where you're ready to buy your first house, but you are thinking that maybe it's not the right decision, you're thinking that it's kind of expensive, the reality is that it's always going to feel expensive when you're about to buy your first house because you have not bought anything else that big before. And the reality is, if you make the decision to purchase your house with facts and not feelings, purchase a house that pays you to live in it, then you have an additional source of income. You have a backup. So when you feel like you don't want to deal with somebody else dictating how much you're going to make, then you have an option. You have a way out. If you don't know what house hacking is, and if you want to learn more about how to do it, then make sure you check out this next video that shows you exactly how you can live mortgage free.